You lost, Donald. Bigly.
Frankly, he lost the debate.
The worst debate performance in history. Even Fox can't defend you.
Oh my God.
Lindsey Graham called it a disaster. Your team? Depressed. Freaked out. Kamala owned you.
Donald Trump was fired.
Told the truth about your little crowds. Called out your stupid lies.
They're eating the pets.
You kept taking the bait, and she kept winning. People are saying you should get out, give up. She's better than you. You keep bragging about how smart you are.
Concepts of a plan.
But that debate was a test, a cognitive test, and you failed.
That was from the Lincoln Project, who put out that ad about 3 weeks ago, right after the presidential debate, and it was called Cognitive Test. I wanted to show that to you because the New York Times is finally talking about the very obvious cognitive decline that we have been talking on this channel for what feels like years. And finally, the mainstream media is talking about it, and it's a really in-depth, thorough report. I wanted to walk you through all of it, and they even had this moment where they're talking about how Donald Trump has the speaking level of an elementary school student. I'm serious. So let's just go through all of it. Trump's speeches, increasingly angry and rambling, reignite the question of age. God, this just makes me feel so good that they're finally focusing on this. With the passage of time, the 78-year-old former president's speeches have grown darker, harsher, longer, angrier, less focused, more profane, and increasingly fixated on the past, according to a review of his public appearances over the years. Better late than never, I guess, but I feel like, where have you been? We've been paying attention to this for like ever. All right. Former President Donald Trump vividly recounted how the audience of the climactic debate with Vice President Kamala Harris was on his side, except that there was no audience. Now, see, I didn't even know about this. The debate was held in an empty hall. No one went crazy, as Mr. Trump put it, because no one was there. Let's watch that.
And the audience was absolutely, they went crazy. And the real, I thought it was, I walked off, I said, that was a great debate. I loved it. You know, you got a lot of people watching.
Wow, I did not even realize he said that. That's nuts. He rambles, he repeats himself, he roams from thought to thought. Some of them hard to understand, some of them unfinished, some of them factually fantastical. He voices outlandish claims that seem to be made up out of whole cloth. He digresses into bizarre tangents about golf, about sharks, and about his own, quote, beautiful body. God, we have been through so much. He relishes a great day in Louisiana after spending the day in Georgia. He expresses fear that North Carolina is trying to kill me. This feels like the greatest hits of this YouTube channel. When he presumably means Iran. As late as last month, Mr. Trump was still speaking as if he were running against President Biden 5 weeks after his withdrawal from the race. All right, so they have this clip here of Trump talking about Biden when he was actually running against Kamala Harris.
I can't imagine New Hampshire voting for him. Anybody in New Hampshire, because they're watching right now, but anybody in New Hampshire that votes for Biden and Kamala, I really think, I call her a comrade, Kamala, because that's what her ideology is.
They had a computer analyze. They like shoved in all of his speeches. They had a computer analyze all of his speeches, and they got some data back. And so they compared it versus his 2016 speeches versus now. And Trump's rallies now last 82 minutes compared with 45 minutes in 2016. That's incredible. Proportionally, he uses 13% more all or nothing terms like always and never than he did 18 years ago, which some experts actually consider a sign of advanced aging. Wow. He uses 32% more negative words than positive words. That should not be a surprise to anyone, compared with 21% in 2016, which can be another indicator of cognitive change. And he uses swear words 69% more often than he did when he first ran, a trend that, again, could reflect what experts call disinhibition. So this article is really exhaustive, and here's another clip showing his cognitive decline where he was on Tucker Carlson, and he talks about mosquitoes and malaria, and he just kind of trips himself up. Let's just
The
watch.
Panama Canal. We lost 35,000 people to the mosquito, malaria.
Yeah.
We lost 35,000 people. We lost 35,000 people because of the mosquito. Vicious. They had to build under nets. It was one of the true great wonders of the world. As he said, one of the 9 wonders of the world. No, it was one of the 7. Happened a little while ago, you know. It says 9 wonders of the world. You could make 9 wonders. He would have been better off if he stuck with the 9 and just said, yeah, I think it's 9.
So he said malaria is one of the 9 wonders of the world, but then he's like, there's 7, but I guess there should be 9 because he realized he messed up. This is something you probably already know. The article states that there are multiple conversations about whether the 25th Amendment disability clause should be invoked to remove him. Something we don't really talk enough about. I know there's a million things we could talk about with Trump, but people in his cabinet were considering trying to invoke the 25th Amendment. And though the idea never went far, it is notable and I think important to say that they thought he was not capable of fulfilling the duties of president, and they were trying to look for some sort of emergency switch. And then I love this beautiful paragraph. A 2022 study by a pair of University of Montana scholars found that Trump's speech complexity was significantly lower than that of the average president over American history. So was Mr. Biden's. Of course, they have to add that. The Times analysis found that Mr. Trump speaks at a 4th grade level, lower than rivals like Governor Ron DeSantis of Florida, who speaks at an 8th grade level, which is roughly average for modern presidents. I wonder what Obama's is. I wish they would have included that. That probably would have made him pissed. Mr. Trump has appeared tired at times and has maintained a far less active campaign schedule. I thought this was really interesting. Holding only 61 rallies so far in 2024 compared with 283 through all of 2016, according to the Times analysis. Although he has picked up the pace lately, he appeared to nod off during his hush money. I love that they say he appeared to nod off during his hush money trial, because no, he literally fell asleep. He fell asleep at his trials in New York. And then they had this, there's this man who's writing a book about The Apprentice. This guy, Mr. Satuda, interviewed Trump in May. He came back to him in August, and when I said, do you remember sitting down with me? Donald Trump said, no. That was a long time ago. Mr. Satuda said, it was like we started from square one. He started telling me the exact same stories. He didn't remember what we talked about. He didn't remember me. So there's a lot of evidence here that Donald Trump is like not on the level. Obviously, he's got a lot of hatred and bad ideas for the country. He also just might not be like cognitively fit. And then they have this really quick clip from 2002. Just look at the difference in the way that he speaks and the way that he processes and analyzes information.
Citizen Kane was really about accumulation. And at the end of the accumulation, you see what happens, and it's not necessarily all positive. I think you learn in Kane that maybe wealth isn't everything, because he had the wealth, but he didn't have the happiness.
Like, can you imagine Donald Trump talking like that today? I can't. So it goes without saying, if this were Biden, they would be all over this all the time. It would be the way they would lead in with any sort of story as Biden, as Donald Trump heads to Butler, questions about his age loom, as Donald Trump's head into the final weeks into the election, questions about his mental fitness still plague his campaign, blah, 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 blah. But they don't do that. Whatever. I'll take what I can get, I guess. I'm going to end the video with this, which is Donald Trump getting distracted by a fly. Because, again, we're inundated with so much stuff that if we can't pay attention to all of it. But, again, imagine this were Kamala Harris or Joe Biden or any other Democrat. They would never allow it to happen. We would not hear the end of it.
Remember, there's a hat that's made that sells like crazy. Oh, there's a fly. Oh, I wonder where the fly came from. See, 2 years ago, I wouldn't have had a fly up here. You're changing rapidly, but we can't take it any longer. We can't take it any longer. It takes.
I don't know what's wrong with you young people. You think you just fell out of a coconut tree?